So I have been playing this game, Wildermyth, for a little while now, and I have loved it. Um, it's a lot like XCOM, for those of you who have played XCOM or XCOM 2, where it's a kind of tactical turn-based combat game where you cycle between sort of an overworld element where you're collecting resources and managing a party of characters, and then individual one-off battles where you are putting those characters to use. Uh, and this has been a really clever fantasy twist on this. So, since I've been playing a bunch, I decided that I'm gonna do a challenge run of the game and record something new because I haven't seen an awful lot out there on um, on Wildermyth. So we're gonna try something kind of special. For those of you guys who haven't played this game before, the idea is actually let me head back. The idea is that as you run through, you build up these characters. They get stronger and stronger, and then you build up a legacy of like characters who go into the stories of your world that you're building, right? And so I have all these characters that have been in successfully through a 3 or 5 chapter run of one of my games, and then they can come back in future games. But I feel like if we're gonna do a 4X Alchemist extra expert guide, what we should do is actually start a new character or a new profile and do it completely from scratch. So we're going to create a brand new profile here, and we're going to create a new story. And Age of Ulsteryx is the 3 chapter story for the new profile that we're going to be going into here. Now, let's talk a little bit about difficulty in this game. One of the things that I've been having so much fun is that there are 3 levers for difficulty. First of all, there's your standard, like, easy, medium, hard, expert. Custom doesn't give you that many options, right? It's just overland versus combat. So we're going to go to the expert mode, walking lunch, for those who revel in misery. And then second thing, carved in stone, where we only have one save file, can't go back. I always love playing this way. I have no mods in the game right now. I haven't looked too much into modding it. And then next we have our 3 characters. They have a series of built-in stats, but you can't min-max those built-in stats too much. So we're just going to take Uli, Hambin, and Katla into the game. And then finally, our last difficulty lever, which we'll talk about in a little bit, are these calamities. These are, ways that the monsters you are fighting get stronger over the course of the game. And so generally each of the 3 chapters you would get, depending on how you're playing, like between 5 and 10 new calamities every chapter, which are like these buffs to the monsters. But we're going to try starting with 20 calamities right off the bat with our brand new heroes. Now, I've never tried doing this before. I've started playing a little bit with my more legacy characters, going above their recommended number of calamities for the more advanced games. But when you start with these blank slate level 1 characters, you're incredibly weak, and even small buffs to the monsters can really change the math, and we're going to see how it goes. So let us get started. Yeah, as I said, this will be my first attempt at this one. So let's see what's happening here. You can see each of these are going to be different monsters that we're going to have to fight. You can do it in the monster view here. So these are the Gorgons. And so there's Ro, the deer, who are going to have 40% extra health and 2 damage. Then and leave corrupted ground when it moves. The raccoons are going to deal splash damage with their attacks, and then we're going to get these Ragers that can do a double move and attack right off the bat. So that's pretty tough. And then as far as cards go, we got those 20 extra cards, and that's 5 cards into the Gorgon bucket. So I think I have fun when I actually do the narrations here, and the writing of this game makes it quite fun. So I'm going to dive into it and kind of like get into this thing a little bit, if that's cool with you guys. This book, there's room in it for another story. It's called I'm Stuck Here. I'll write something a wanderer might find. And will he read it by the fire, and will he silently love me? Will he weep? Yes, then this would be the beginning. Here in our yondering country, something in the woods is very strange. Startled only by the rustle of mice amongst the thorn, a young woman named Katla takes the seasonal road to the town of Rowanwand. New blankets, new candles, order a chair made, have the carpenter's kids deliver it. I'll be too cozy to move in my shadowless room. Next winter I'll make everyone visit me. Breeze is light that day, birds are timid. In fact, the whole world is taking a breath, ready to leap into the sea. I'm there already, huh? Here's the hard part, getting Hamvin out of bed. He'll probably be sitting up, blanket wrapped, staring out the window, gnawing a mouthful of old biscuit and telling me to reckon with the... Is that smoke? Fluttering flames roost among the far-off rooftops. Katla hurries towards town, thinking of Hamvin, a young man who she's known since girlhood. And then we have to choose what the relationship between these three is. And since we're going to be, doing a big challenge run, I'm going to touch on how each of these three actually impact us. So the rivalry increases critical hit chance. Whenever one rival gets a critical hit, it boosts the chance of the other rival getting one. Friendship increases the dodge or block chances of two friends when they're standing next to each other. And romance makes you very angry when someone else hits your lover, that you deal more damage when you're attacking enemies that have attacked you. In my view, the rivalry is mechanically pretty far and away the strongest of these. Or maybe not so fine. Ugh. Hey, Hamvin, you here? So, Katla shows up. Yeah, this is, again, just a little tutorial. We're not going to spend too much time on this, since I imagine you guys will play it when you see the game. But yes, green is like where you can move with one action. Yellow is where you can move with two actions. Just like XCOM, if you have played that before, I have two actions. You can see down in the bottom here, these two white, and in the top again, these two white diamonds mean I have both of my actions remaining. And so if I move, it will consume one of the diamonds, and then I can do things like, here, extinguish this flame for a second action, and that'll end the turn. So, same thing again, move up here, extinguish the flame. And obviously this is just the tutorializing the game. And now there's a double action up to the door, and then an open circle like this, or an open diamond, is a swift action, which you get free once per turn, and then then it will take a regular action the second time you do a swift action in that turn. So we get a free opening of the door, and it triggers the next part. Huh. Fire didn't reach his house. Figures. Hamvin, we can put these fires out. Come outside. Help me. That idiot. Why's no one? Door unlocks. Hamvin shoves it open. Yeah, you. What's... Honestly, I wish you would have skipped. Get inside. He's got a bow. Hoop. Slam. Your bow. Yeah, my bow. The blaze is secondary. It's Doom's detail. A herd of these hideous, afflicted-looking beasts. Go-doo. They stampeded in. I managed to trap one behind the house. Small victory. will burn in here. Can we, I mean, we could try to fight it. Right, so here, I've got some tools around. Look, I know we're not best friends, but we still find reason to see each other. Can you help me fight it off? And then we choose our weapon. Pitchfork, which will have extra range. A pickaxe, which can shred armor. Or a frying pan, which knocks foes backwards. And I think in this case, what do we want? In general, I like the pitchfork best. I think reach is an exceptionally powerful ability in the game. So I'm going to take the pitchfork. Can't believe I'm dying with you. You should be so lucky. You're dying alone or not at all. And now there's going to be a row, which I will always call a deer. Thankfully, in the initial in this very, very first baby mission, they are not going to have all of their upgrades that they're going to get in the future missions. So this is just a really basic row. And so the way that this is going to work, all right, let me bring Katla out here. We should be able to see it. So there's the guy. Yes, so this is what I was saying before about friendship. Stand adjacent to an ally and you can wall with them. Reduces income damage by 1 and does not stack. So this guy has 6 health. He will do 3 to 4 damage if he attacks and hits us, which is a ton since we have only 5 health, and it takes forever to heal. But the most important thing is when you hover over the card in the top, you can see how far that row can move with its first action on its turn. So it can get to any of those squares in green, and then it can attack enemies that are adjacent to it. So that means that I need to go, for example, to this square. You can see right north of these rocks. If I go to that square, then Katla will be in a place where it will not be able to attack me once it moves in. So I'm going to head right there. And then I'm going to do kind of the same thing with Hamven. Move to a position maybe over here. And then double check, okay, where is it going to be? It's going to be able to come down to that corner, so I can move to right here. And it won't be able to get me. Okay, so now it moved to a pretty inconvenient spot for me, and here's why. Because the range that I have with my pickaxe, I can hover over and you can see the slightly darker red squares, extend out two squares to the cardinal directions, and then only 1 square on the diagonals. And that means that here I'm actually not able to attack it. I would have to get here, but that will take 2 moves, and 2 moves is not sufficient for me. Meanwhile, I can look in and look at this bow, which has a 7.6 range, which is pretty good. And we can look at this guy and say, okay, he can get to like right around, you know, he moves 5 spaces. So if I put myself right here, I will be out of range of where he can move, and I can take kind of a freebie shot at him. And that stunt is like the critical hit equivalent. And so we're just going to put Katla right here so that she also cannot be attacked. And then we're just going to end the turn. This guy's going to come forward. And he did the same thing, right? The AI is really trying to stay out of range of Katla. But because I have the ranged attack, I think I can do, yep. I'm going to double check this a lot every time because small mistakes make a big difference here. And so obviously this is the baby easy shit, but it just kind of is demonstrating the abilities. Okay, so now at every level up, we get a different suite of abilities that we can bring into the characters. So you kind of like, yeah, build up a build from these abilities, which are randomly determined. So let's think about what the good starting points here. Stalwart gives a ton of extra armor and warding. Armor is resistance to physical attacks, warding to magic attacks, temporarily reduces speed, but you can like turn it off and on pretty rapidly. And then Vigilance is used when you're kind of like playing reactively, and as enemies come into your range, you can attack and get 2 attacks a turn if they're moving into you. I'm going to take Stalwart here. I like Vigilance a lot, but it requires a very specific build to work well. All right, and then Hamven. He's a hunter instead of a warrior. And so it has a completely different suite of abilities covered in green here. And of these, I actually don't love any of them. The best one, in my opinion, is probably this Fox Flight ability. Speed is a huge, huge thing in this game. In fact, it's my favorite statistic if I had to pick one. So I'm going to take Fox Flight. Ooh, and then we have an additional item. So each of the characters can develop items over time or get items over time. And so Hamven already has 6 speed and could boost to 7. And Katla has 4 and can boost to 5. So I'm very enthusiastic to give that to Katla, to give her 5 speed. What kind of suffering did that poor beast endure? At least it's done. Creature's death is quiet. It seems to slip from life in a few stunned, hazy blinks. They'll spend a piece of the day getting the flames under control. The damage isn't as bad as it could have been. Townfolk emerge from hiding to fight the fires and clear debris, some full of curiosity, others visibly haunted by what they've seen. Uli must already be waiting for us. We'll be safer if... Or anyway, we should both go. Uli? She's at that ruined tower by now. Kind of an outsized hike, given our late start. Maybe, but a later start won't help. Uli will be waiting for us. What happened today could be happening everywhere, couldn't it? Something about that tower is just stuck in my mind. It's like when you get apple skin in your teeth. I can feel that analogy. It's unpleasant. Yeah. Anyway, I just think we said we'd meet her. We should. The tower in the hills? You've been there. Yeah, once. Actually, looking at the tracks, they come and they go in that direction. Katla and Hamven follow the pounded path of monstrous feet, hoping for the best and dreading every other possibility. And so now we can make Hamven either a friend of or a lover of the mage that's joining our party, Uli. And I think I'm going to have her be a love interest. Uli, you said you'd be fine. Don't make me call you a liar. A wordless while passes between them, but the quiet only heightens their worry. You've always been a little fond of her, I thought, of Uli. You mean I have? Oh. Is that true? I think it's hard not to be fond of her, isn't it? And it's like she knows it too, and that just makes it feel all the more twisty inside. But, sorry, I also just think she's pretty. And plus, it seems like no matter where she goes, we tend to have adventures. Alright, and I'm going to pause it right here. I'll be right back.